object.
Oh, can I record this?
Sure.
I feel that
Got it.
you're saying some beautiful things,
Uh,
and I was like, damn, I should be recording this. Sorry.
yeah,
Please.
I am also just starting, just like you. Like I'm not an authority of this knowledge at all.
What you're
But,
saying is for me is very true, and I for this reason I'd like to record this and keep a
yeah, sure.
keep it there. And so
Yeah.
carry on. So as do you mind just talking? Just I want you to. Do you mind discuss? First, go back to the tree of life, because it's really beautiful what you were saying about the tree of life and what the tree of life is for you. The importance. What I hadn't heard about, what so beautifully expressed, was the importance of being balanced and first clearing out any of your own karmic blockages, any of your own personal kind of like traumas that might kind of influence how you work with the tree of life.
Yeah.
As you were saying.
Yeah.
So maybe you
because they're very in this movement of the Golden Dawn. They were practicing Kabbalah, Kabbalistic ideas, and it's a lot of written about like white magic and black magic. There's a lot of talking about white magic and black magic, and the idea is to use these tools not for a selfish reason. So
it's all in service. It has to be in service.
Absolute service, almost saying to oneness, you just, I'm here to channel,
and these are tools in service to channel light, to then lift.
Exactly.
And it's basically light magic for light beings who are doing the light work to basically make their job easier. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful way to express what is Kabbalah. It's light magic for light beings that are doing this work.
Exactly. And in order to be that vessel, basically, that vessel that communicates all these layers of, like, there's a lot of layers of entities, is what what is understood. Like, we're working with different layers of energy, but living energy, so conscious awarenesses on different levels. Like, we're just a materialized form on earth of this energy. So we have this shape that we're here, but we can tap into these different levels through these sounds, through these, basically the awareness of it is most important in the beginning. Like, just to know what you're working with, just to know that this is that existence is kind of just almost like a ladder form. Like, it's just a materialization of the energy, and then through different steps. And so what I understood was that the Hebrew alphabet, when understood well and when sounded properly, which is where I have a lot of difficulty with this, because I don't exactly know what these vowels sound like.
Well, no one knows. The original sounds we don't know anymore, and
we don't know.
Modern Hebrew, as you were mentioning, is so far. It's like Latin and English, modern Hebrew and ancient Hebrew, which would have been the language in which we would have manifested or channeled in.
Yeah.
So from my speculative place, similar to certain, like, I feel, in terms of this is just my speculation, that they would have been a lot more like, so shalom, or they were more they were more focused on the vibration, because in channeling that deeper, but they weren't deeper, like guttural vibration, that is really how you're creating the patterns. Because what if what we're sharing is pure geometry, right, and what we're sharing is sacred geometry through sound, so cymatics really is the blueprint of sound, which for me, again, I'm been exploring this for some time, overlays onto the flower of life. The flower of life is the framework for all of the sacred geometrical shapes. Sound and light in its structure is based around sacred geometry, as is was. So perfect geometry creates healing and harmony. So certain words create, which is the work of Dr. Emoto's, creates geometric patterns that actually elevate us and alchemize us internally. And those sounds, we're moving, we're healing through sounds, is what the work that we look at. Mantras work, so light languages work similarly, like mantra. So understanding how we can create that perfect geometric shape, when we play with sound, it starts becoming more, because that's already, we know this, because that's the healing sounds that we can like that we can look at, so we can almost look at like Om Mani Padme, so how the Tibetans chant, and I feel that it was much more driven to chanting, and communication was more about meeting and raising each other through vibration.
Exactly.
And understanding the power of sound and vibration to heal, to elevate and expand the other. And communication was more about elevation and meeting as one through sound, and it was much more direct. They understood that this had a particular power, and then they created the music, which were these ancient texts, which was a kind of a cosmic symphony of sound that they would channel and express, that worked because of the geometry that was being communicated through it, which is really the building blocks for the blueprint of all of creation, which we start.
Exactly. And if you deeply understand it, which I don't, because I haven't had teaching in this, if you deeply understand this, you can actually direct it to specific needs. Like you could have a healing sound, but you could also have a sound for, I don't know, clearing the pathway. You could have a sound for specific. This is what mantras really do. You have mantras for lots of different topics and reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Carry on.
And then you have the sacred name of God, which is not allowed to be expressed. Apparently, such a powerful combination of sounds in the right sequence. There's one this idea about the sacred name of God not being allowed to be sounded because it's such a powerful combination of sounds.
You can't actually say it, is the reality, because it has no vowels. You say yud,
it has no vowels.
I
thought it was nothing but vowels.
Sorry, no, it has no, what was that? No, my language, English. It's like yud k vad k. You can't pronounce it because there's nothing to pronounce it with. It also turns out so that in different formats it becomes Adonai. Jehovah is the name.
Yeah.
But the actual writing is yud, a vad pay. I mean, which you can't. I don't know how you would pronounce that as a sound. I don't know how you would sound out. I think it's a silent. The way my mind understands it, and I haven't spoken to anyone about this. It's just my own insight. Is that the sound is so? It's like light, right? Why is white light so powerful? Because it contains all the colors of the spectrum. Thank you, baby. Thank you. That looks amazing.
Yeah, let's put it in the refrigerator.
I'll keep it now. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
No, no worries. I wish somebody would serve me breakfast.
That's good life.
Amazing.
Thank you, baby. And it's beautiful as well. It's a very nutritious breakfast.
Oh wow! Look at that. Oh, that's amazing. That looks like it's from a restaurant. Awesome.
But so similar to how light works. Well, if you shine light through a prism, it creates all the colors of the rainbow. I feel that the name of God contains all the frequencies of the human spectrum of sound, and probably beyond what we can.
Oh, maybe hear. At this, like without it, outside of time space, all at the same time.
All as one. So you can't even say it. We don't have. We can't see light because light is everything. We see the reflection, the refraction of light. In the same way as we can't pronounce the sound of God that was revealed, because it contains all of
that's
all
so
of,
interesting.
That's just my hypothesis, and it's similar to that, and that's why but what we know it as is the tetragrammaton. We know it as we know the geometry, and we know what the geometry is, and we know what's the geometry reveals. The geometry reveals all the patterns of creation. And this is just I mean, I haven't read this anywhere. I just was.
No, that makes total sense, because if that is indeed the Ein Sof idea,
the endless.
Yeah, the endless, the infinite is with our brain. Totally. Even like we could probably take a ton of psychedelics and be like, I get it, but it's like
you can't conceptualize that. You can't because it's beyond, but because it contains all.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't pronounce it. So the misunderstanding is you shouldn't pronounce it. It's like you can't pronounce it because you don't.
It's
you can't paint light because light is everything. Yeah. So it becomes clear. Yeah. It's only when we break it into its compositions. It's every color. It's the prism, which is the fragmentation through which we can seal the veil with all of the different colors of the spectrum, from the red, so which is the root, to the crown, the purple, violet, right? It's the rainbow.
Yeah.
It contains all the dimensions.
It makes it for me so interesting, because only for the first time now I'm thinking like, what if? Okay, so let's say yes.
This is what my business is about. So, yeah, my business is about translating the. Sorry, I was a nut.
Yeah, go.
That was 2 years. Sorry. I'm working on a startup, and the startup is called Soul Lingua, and the project, the gatherings that we do, Rachel and I, is Soul Lingua gatherings, which is connected to sharing the healing power of sound. But the root, the work that I'm exploring, is sharing the sacred wisdoms and translating all the sacred texts from scripture into music and sound.
Which I think was the idea of the rabbi. I think that's
for me. Because it's not a mind thing. It's not intellectual. It's because music bypasses the mind. It connects directly to the experience, and the experience of it, the experience of the sacred sounds, brings us up to these. Does the alchemization, the healing, and then it helps us elevate into the tree of life, to expand into the endless, to become one with all. For me, it's what Moses shared at Mount Sinai. It was a true sharing, the 10 sfihot, the 10 commandments. They weren't commandments, they were utterances, they were energies. Moses revealed an energy at Mount Sinai that awakened 600,000 people, channeled through this very humble man. And he was able to be the channel because he was so void of ego. He was so void of identity. So there was no filter. There was no
that clearing idea, that you need to be clear.
That's the removal of the ego. Because when you clear the self, you become a channel. You're just a vehicle for light. And these patriarchs, as I understand, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, were the first in the West to make these connections to these other dimensions. Before them, we didn't know that we could elevate so far. And they were the first of humanity to make these connections to the endless, to then enable humanity to plug into the same channels.
I have an idea that it did exist before. The whole idea of a civilization that used this technology for ways that we cannot even fathom.
So you're talking about Atlantis?
Yeah, that's what I write about in my book. There was a civilization, and I don't call it Atlantis because it's way too loaded with concepts of our current Western idea of what it could be, but I have a culture in my book that lives way before ancient Egypt, that has a civilization using these technologies through sound. So my culture has their own alphabet, which is actually where Hebrew came from in my book. So I'm stepping into this.
I believe, and it's purely speculative, exactly what you're saying to me. And I work with someone who I can't mention his name. So sorry to interrupt you. You want to please share? Yeah. I'm interrupting you, but but it's exciting. It's exciting to meet and have the mirror. So you're like, I want to just say the thing that I want to say, but I should give you the space to share what you're going to say.
And it's so fun because individually, like, honestly, I don't speak with people about this. I think you might be I don't find that connection, and I sometimes have some elements of it that I can share, and it's fun, but I don't get this interactive idea where I actually say something, you're like, yes, I have that idea. That's why I put it into fiction, and I put it into a very easy, approachable story.
The best way to make people able to connect, there's a million things I want to do. I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do, and I'm like, I got to check in. I'm like, dude, just slowly. But very exciting that you're writing this book, and it taps on a lot of things that I feel very strongly about that have yet to be fully expressed or even revealed. And if they're revealed, they're seen as very esoteric or kind of fringe in their ideas. And they become negated very quickly because they don't align with common
ideas.
Common ideas.
Religion, because religion screws it up a bit in the terms of religion became such a concept for us.
Totally. But let's just park the religion thing, because we both know that, and actually that's super boring. It's not super boring. It's just like
and also very rich, because there are so many things hidden for example,
That's
that's why I'm
interesting.
so fascinated with the Templars. So
That's
my
interesting.
idea, so the Templar Knights in my book,
Can we just,
or
okay,
yeah,
no, go.
uh,
We have time. I'm just going to go back to my connection because otherwise I get too
yeah.
hyper and I have to go back and ground. This is why
So the,
this is what I'm doing is grounding while you're speaking, so it could be more present. Otherwise, I'll get too hyper.
yeah, it's really exciting. So it's also so much information that you just want to channel it all at the same time. But so the Templars, according to my research, connected with the Kabbalists.
This is what I believe, and I've been trying to explain this. And this is what they're the Crusades. They went to Jerusalem. And
Yeah.
sorry, I've been saying this to everyone. I'm like, because I have, sorry. Right. So I believe this, right? So this is my hypothesis. The Templars, that the Crusaders, they went to Jerusalem, to Holy Land, to fight the Holy War, and they found the esoteric knowledge.
Yeah.
And when they were there, they discovered the esoteric knowledge because they were in the Holy Land. They met the Kabbalists, this is what all the symbolism is about. But they brought it back in the Holy Grail, for example, Portugal, Port de Graal. That's why it's here.
Port de Graal, yeah.
But it's about this. It's not the cup is really just the representation of sacred geometry.
Yeah.
Is my
well, in my understanding of what I've researched until now is that they met a Kabbalist in France. There was a Kabbalistic center, and there was a monk. I visit his monastery randomly, like literally randomly. I drove by, I saw the name, I was like, oh my God, that's where the monastery is of this guy. And I because I went to the Netherlands to visit my parents.
That's possible too. I just speculated it was Jerusalem, but that would also be.
To my recordings, there was Bernard de Clairvaux. He is one of the original minds behind the Templar Knights. He connected with this wisdom. It's been, of course, ingrained in families who kept this knowledge alive after. This was before the Inquisition, who kept this knowledge alive, coming from people from Jerusalem, and it traces back through ancient Egypt all the way to a civilization that we kind of feel existed. This knowledge was channeled through different lines.
Do you believe the Jews took the wisdom from Egypt in the Ark of the Covenant and brought it there, so they were chased, that they had this technology? The Egyptians were using this technology in a very negative way. And Moses took it to empower people, to decentralize it, to make it accessible for all, not just for the Pharaoh to be.
So I write about Moses in my book. Moses has a role in my book of, for me, it goes from a feminine line, line of knowledge. In ancient Egypt, it existed, then got broken during the reign of, in my book, it's Pepi the first and the second, because I did a lot of research on what happened in Egypt. It was Egypt had like a divine moment of knowledge, and then it degraded. It crumbled because of corruption, because of power in the hands of the wrong people. But the people who had the knowledge, the actual divine knowledge, for me, they went underground. They fled. In my book, this is all just the things I came up with in order to get this knowledge all the way to our modern world. And then Moses, there's a couple of documents where Moses has met people in southern Egypt and was initiated in different types of temples. Moses, to my knowledge, has been initiated in different types of temples. One in Egypt, one in where the biblical story meets, Jericho. He's also a very knowledgeable person. So he basically was initiated in the ancient Egyptian temple, and then in a couple of other knowledge bases. And he took that knowledge. I don't know if he directly got it from God. Maybe he had also this moment of complete, channeling.
So I'm really interested in how, and I've worked with. I had a collective called Symbols, and a few years ago I was trying to understand how do we channel? Like, what is channeling and what comes through and who is channeling? And I've had different relationships with different teachers that have been channeled to understand how this wisdom even came into existence, how the Torah was even formed. Like, what does it mean that it was written by God? Like, because it's interpreting these texts. So if God wrote, like, it's channeled, because it's channeled through a man, through an author, Moses, the 5-book series. But he's connecting to something to bring it through, and it comes in a particular form, in a particular. So with Zohar, supposedly Shimon Bar Yochai in a cave, channeled for over 11 years. They're channeling this wisdom, which is beyond.
Yeah.
And so it's not of man, but it comes through man, and it's
Yeah, it
expressed.
comes through, man. I
And
do think that you need teachers, though. That's the thing. Like,
for
I
sure.
feel it like it has like different roads at the same time. You have your earthly teacher who initiates you in the sounds, and maybe that could be an option. Who initiates you in the knowledge? Who you go through this clearing. That's why these temple teachings took such a long time. You can't just suddenly become a channel for God. You really had to clear yourself from ego, which for us is virtually like an impossible task in one lifetime, you know?
That's ground zero. Like the
And that's ground
starting,
zero.
the entry point into this study is to be meditative, neutral, zen.
And how hard
mind.
is that? Like
that's already like that's the first stage one is like come in and you've dealt with your shit.
Yeah.
And when you've cleared your own story and you're in like a clear state. And this is why Rosh Hashanah is so important, to be in that neutral state, because whatever you think of during Rosh Hashanah, you manifest your year out. Like, and it's so interesting that you will create your reality doing the connection. And last year, I see it. I've seen it in my own life. I was like, don't come in anxious. Don't do stupid stuff. Like, I came anxious last year for the first few hours, and my first 3 or 4 months of this year was just anxiety driven. It was all there, and it was manifest, and it played out in my movie because I was So the importance of, and in a beautiful way, it's great that I've put my hand in the fire a bunch of times, because I'm really like, don't do this, because I had to try it myself. No one explained it to me, so I had to go through the motions of burning myself lots of times. And thankfully, I have some great angels or guardians around me who are like, it's okay that you screw up so much, because
you're supposed to.
You're gonna figure this out through your own process, and eventually it's gonna become good somehow. And life
and you can't get there until you die. You have to die living, and that's a very big important theme in all of these different cultures.
Stages of death, right?
There's many. It's like fractals, no? Like you constantly die.
We were just talking about this. Yes, it's Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. You're going through the transformation. What there was called 3T. It was transcendence and transition, transformation, transcendence. So you're transitioning, transforming, and then you're transcending. So
first you have the call, then you go through you get the teacher, and you go through the work, you die, you return, and you go back to your familiar, and then going back. Like I call that the coming home. Coming home means in that cycle of like, you have died, you have become a different person, and now you're back in your familiar surroundings. And what does the world look like? It's almost like it's even the hardest part about the death is the rebirth. And I misunderstood it for such a long time. I was like, oh, when you die, after that everything's good, after that everything's blissful and light and whatever. And I actually realized that the hardest part after the death to the self is the being back in your familiar. While after you died, nobody knows you have changed and transformed and have left all your layers. And then you're being confronted with your old programming. What are you going to do then? Are you going to adopt it again? Are you going to hit the same stones again? Or are you going to be like, no, I transformed. Like
every time, from my experience, every time we have a complete internal transformation, our reality shifts completely. So this is what, again, Rosh Hashanah is, and I said it, is a rewriting of your movie by cleansing and creating, by releasing all of the old patterns, all the old stories, and you're able to literally walk. It's as if you pop in to like this year. This has happened in the last few years to watch. It's like my reality, my movie changes, so, because it's the internal reflected on the external. And the technology really supports it. And I'm talking about a fraction of what's possible, because I still came with a lot of my own stuff to the table, not aware of that there was so much stuff to work through. But that also comes up to clear.
That's the purpose. That's the purpose. I think for us, because we don't grow up in temples. We get born with a teacher who immediately guides us on this path of self-awareness. And
find a teacher. They come when you're ready. Like the teachers, you can't find. They find it. Finds it. Light attracts light. The teacher. Like, I'm not surprised that today we speak and that I've never had a chance in this capacity to share my ideas and have this conversation about what I've intuited or kind of downloaded myself. And I was like, it's like this. It must have happened like this. But I haven't researched it. I just connected it through my experience. And suddenly you're like, oh, I've researched and I've read in a book about the templars and sacred geometry and Kabbalah and this wisdom and the lineage and how it's really come through. And I'm like, all of the things you say, I'm like, I know this. I know this. This is what I've known.
Well, it's an evolutionary pattern. It's an evolutionary pattern that we all have in us. Like we are all the tree of life. Like we just live this constant pattern, except that we had to kind of unravel it ourselves. And me through doing research, but also through life experience of indeed dying, the ego dying a couple of times, like in different facets of it and different elements of it. And just like, and then that's why the Kabbalah didn't make any sense to me in the beginning. And now I'm like, wait a minute, starting to make sense.
That's the beauty of it, is it's concealed, and it's concealed for a reason, and it's concealed so it's protected, so you keep the knowledge safe from misuse.
Exactly, because that's where the black magic comes in. If you start if you actually use this,
the ego's, which is what the Nazis were doing, by the way.
They were.
That's the inverted swastika, which was at one time for me. So here's the ultimate revelation that came for me was that the East and the West, all of these sacred wisdoms are part of one greater cosmic symphony. That actually Sanskrit and Aramaic and Hebrew, they work together. They're music. It's a musical composition. I love that you just said exactly. And they are, it's like if you were to write up like you were gonna like compose digitally a musical sheet, each one is a line of sound. And they're parts of one is violin, one is string, one is drums, one is bass. I'm not, Rachel's the musician, not me, but actually, if we're able to in each part share something so important to the evolution of the self, of the human condition, to elevate beyond, become one with all, to become our godheads, right? And that full potential of tapping into our 99% of what we are really, and going beyond the 1%, which is the physical. It can only truly it can only truly happen when we connect all of the divine wisdoms, all of the light languages. They're all pieces of a puzzle, a coded symphony of cosmic proportions. And actually the wisdoms aren't competing, they are consolidating. And if they were shared by different channels, that when humanity was finally ready to meet as one, they could connect the wisdoms together as one. But we have to connect them not as something scriptorial, because then we get too caught up in the paradoxes of all the scriptures, which makes no sense. We have to transcend the mind into the experience, and then in the experience, play them as vibration, sound, frequency, music. And in that, we get the full potentiality. That for me is the ultimate purpose. East, west, all of the nodes coming to as one. The singularity.
And I do have a respect for the I respect the teachings in the terms that there's a specific order to things. And if you know about this order, that's why I think the alphabet is so fascinating. I've been studying the I can send you this book from Fabre d'Olivet. He has the whole Hebrew alphabet, and it's in French and English, and he explains every single symbol, and he explains the grammar, because I'm a language teacher and I don't understand why I'm teaching language. I do it for money so that I can write my book. Only later
recently did you realize that it was so you could decode. Once I share with you the work that I'm doing, I feel that it's super important. Like this is a great connection for me, because it's I have to share with you my research, what I'm working towards, which is Karen, and the fact, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the fact you're a language teacher, the fact that you're a scholar, someone who likes to research, and the fact that you've also worked in startups, which is beautiful, because it's this, ultimately I'm building a startup, a technology platform, which is about, it's called Souling, which is basically translating ancient wisdom and making it more accessible to the people today. So how do you make this wisdom super accessible, super direct?
We're both translating this wisdom and trying to inject it into a modern world, which is a huge challenge. And I use fiction for that, so it's really interesting.
Fiction is the entry point, because that's how you plant the seeds of change without getting caught up in all the drama of politics and academia,
exactly,
and scholars. But so art for me, that's why we've got our gatherings. We're doing these art experiences. We're doing these events. These events, which are centered around food and play and exploration of sound and healing, are really to plant this seed in a way that doesn't get too, like, you can't go up against the status quo, because otherwise you're just going to get shut down. But if you move in sound, if you move with creativity and art and play and fiction, and you're allowed to express these ideas.
That's what I always say. It's like, well, whatever, I don't care what people are going to say, because I can always say it's fiction, guys, it's fiction. But hey, there's a deep layer of knowledge below this.
But there is, and then there is also being open to saying I don't know.
Exactly.
And fundamentally,
and I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Everything I've speculated is purely opinion. It's all opinion. And be very clear with yourself that it's just an opinion, and it's just your opinion. It's just my opinion. It's just an intuition, an insight. It's a connection. And until you could, and go on this journey. And
the book is my journey. That's the thing. Like,
totally.
If you compare myself to 10 years ago and now I have 4 books. Then I had a beginning of 1. And so everything that I've learned through this time, and I am speculating all the time, but I don't mind, because it is fiction, and I'm allowed to mold it in whatever way I think is necessary. Because I gave up the idea that I'm going to understand this all, because it became so complex for me, and I did so many studies. And at one point I saw this and I saw that, and sometimes you see the light, you're like, oh, I get it, and then the next day you're like, what? And then I love this exploration, because I think that's what we're meant to do right now. I think we're meant to recover these ancient knowledge without a specific remember, and
rediscover.
I don't know if you believe in like an overall, multiple lifetimes, if we reincarnate.
Totally. I mean, it's
I don't see any other way.
Very much connected to the Kabbalistic way. We're here and to keep going until we finished our karmic.
Until we finish our
cycles, and then we're done. Then
exactly.
So we are we're cleansing.
Remembering. It's also that when I read these books, it's not like, hey, this is all new to me. No, I understand this. I get this. I just don't know how to make it accessible. That's the question for me. How do I make this accessible to people
I'd love
who
to
never heard about this?
This is the bit that this is probably why we're connecting.
Yeah, because I got excited when I saw your Instagram. I was like, wait a minute, what? Huh? Somebody was actually interested in this stuff? Awesome. Like,
very, 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 very. And then there's Yara. So we're doing an event, and I'd love for you, it's called one of our the next Soul Lingua gathering is going to be a Kabbalah event.
Yeah.
Yara, who we've missed a class now, because that's a shame, because it's actually on Rosh Hashanah.
That was today. Oh,
it was actually 9 at 12. We've talked through it.
You can still jump in if you, because I need to go to see a house, but I can't. Okay.
We should. Could you? I think you should do Rosh Hashanah with us.
So when is this? Because I'm not sure if I can time-wise, because I teach, because I have a lot of students. That's the one thing I'm
check.
Juggling.
I've shared everything on
in the group. Here. So yeah, I see it. I could also move some stuff. Maybe if I
so
can.
The dates that I would recommend. It's really listen. The best way to. It's really up to you. I'm going to send you the dates. The best way to. These are the dates. Right?
Oh, I'm actually part of this Kabbalah.com newsletter. I think I even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I connected to this school. That's what, when you mentioned it, I was always like, I think I'm already part of their newsletter.
So they do the online connection. I'm going to be following this online. There's also another one with Yara. I really trust the connections. I follow it. I would welcome you to join us. We're going to be doing that on Monday evening, which it starts at the 6th, and then on the 6th, and then Tuesday morning, Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'll be doing I'll be doing Tuesday and Wednesday, this half the day of connecting, and Monday evening. And there's the cancellation vows as well.
Is the Tuesday and Wednesday during the day? What are the time frames?
Yeah, it's a day. Well, you have classes.
Oh, you just sent it. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so it's a day thing, because that I can do.
But I didn't send you the times. I can send you the times. I would recommend very, 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 very much that if you're doing this work and this research, that you join. I mean,
And are you doing it in person or is it online?
I will be doing it online. Yara mentioned doing it. There's a teacher, but I just trust the online classes, and I'm like, right, I'm just going to plug in online, and we create a sacred space, and we just follow the UK broadcast is the one I would follow. I'll send you the agenda now, which is coming through. There you go. Here's all the times. That's the agenda. So Monday the 6th, 8:30 a.m. You want to start with Monday the 6th, 8:30. It's cancellation of the vows, and then you've got. So that's the schedule.
Okay. Yeah, I will double check that with my calendar, because I do have a ton of students and I can't just cancel all of them. But I can maybe work around that.
Just know it's the energy for the entire year, and it's to create your movie. And you come in with your intention, and you make your intention.
This is for the entire year.
This is Rosh Hashanah. This is the holidays. It's super. Yes, it's.
I think actually last year I think I saw the newsletter about it, and I think I even planned on doing some of the things. Yeah, I'll double check that.
No stress. Take your time, call him back, and we can discuss. But we'll be doing this, and I think it would be great for you to be there.
Yeah, you're gonna be in Sintra for this. That's awesome.
I'm gonna be in Sintra too, and we'll be doing it at the house.
Yeah.
And we just create a really sacred space. The idea is just to be quiet, go into like an internal meditation, sit, and just kind of try and keep your space, your mind as clear as possible, as empty as possible. Set the intention of what you want to manifest for the year, and really be in that state, and then
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, I understand the concept. I understand you're creating your new cycle, basically.
Your new movie by planting by using these codes. You're actually
I'd be very interested in seeing planetarily what it aligns to. That I don't know. That I want to know.
So we can explore that afterwards. Maybe it will be even before this weekend. But it's if all your research is about Kabbalah, the book, the secret wisdom, how it's used, the best way to do it is jump right in. And trust, and if you trust our interaction, then this is
and it's also amazing timing, no? That I connect with you right before the starts.
This is the beginning of the new new year, where all this work's going to be done, and then in that time we can also plant the seeds for the work that we might be able to do together. I can share the research that I'm doing, the work that I'm doing.
Oh, amazing! Yay! Awesome! Nice. Okay, so I'll go through all this information, and I will try to tune in with you guys. That would be. Do you know how many people are gonna do it at the same time, more or less? You have any
around the world?
Yeah.
Loads.
Everybody. Yeah, and everybody's in the same Zoom chat.
No. You'll see. It's not Zoom. It's online. You're watching live stream. It's not Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So just connect as people.
But you know that you're part of this grid of people that are all setting this intention at the same time.
100%. I don't think about that, but that's a big one. It's a huge one, actually.
Yeah, that's I think is very powerful. That's the thing that I feel so isolated all the time in this. So I imagine like this can be super powerful. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Also, let's meet up in person.
But we would.
Yeah.
We would on Monday.
Oh, you mean I can join you guys?
That's what I'm talking about. Come, join, do it with us.
In the Sinter house. Yeah.
in the house, in person.
Okay. Okay. Let's. I'm gonna just cancel my students because I think that this is important.
And you do it with us, and that's what I'm saying. We create a sacred space. We do it together.
I didn't get it. I thought online. Okay, cool. That would be awesome.
We'll be doing online, but you'll be with us while we're doing
Yeah.
this.
Oh, amazing. Yes. Okay. I'm in. I'm gonna shift things around. Yay, because let me know then. Let's connect about where you are, location.
And we're gonna create a ton of light together in the space.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yay. Yes,
Okay,
let's do this. Okay, cool.
Me too. I'm very excited. I think it's very beautiful and very timely.
Yeah.
And, so
Amazing.
and we'll set the intentions and really kind of go into that, and then just
and amazing in Sinter. I lived in Sinter. I have a very deep connection with this place. It's a very interesting space. I'm interested in knowing how you feel the energy there. It's
perfect. That I'll worry about after Rosh Hashanah. I'm very focused on Rosh Hashanah. After Rosh Hashanah, then I'll worry about everything else. In Rosh Hashanah, I'm creating my movie for the entire year, and I want to do it in the clearest, most serene way and light.
Perfect.
And then the next thing is, wow, this magical planet. So it's everything. And it's
but you're on an interesting point on the Earth. It's interesting, very interesting, powerful space on Earth.
Well, you can tell us about that when we meet in person.
Yeah, feel it. Just feel it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'm so happy to connect with you.
You too.
Amazing. And yay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to. I've got to jump on another call.
Yeah.
So
no worries.
I look forward to seeing you Monday, and I'm just going to end the video chat.
All right. And I'll see you soon. We'll connect about details and everything on
exactly.
WhatsApp. All right. See you soon.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.